Big warm welcome to everyone. So good to see everyone jumping on in. I've just been asking everyone how their week has been. All good. Had some sunshine. Yay! Making some plans as I go along. Good, good, good. Holding the focus, hanging in the tension, and on track with what I set out to do with the usual unplanned chaos. Yeah, we do get the unplanned chaos, don't we, from time to time. And I love that you're hanging in the tension, because that is what we're going to be talking about today. Very productive, Philippa. Nice. Look forward to hearing all about that a little bit later on. That's good. That's good. I'm pleased to hear, because it's to be in creation. There are a few parts of it, isn't there? Like, we have to stay focused on the outcome that we choose, that we're choosing, that we desire to have, and that's the only way that we can create, isn't it? Like, we have to create a structure. We have to have a desired reality, current reality, and take the essential action. So cool. We're gonna kick off, because I feel like I've got a fair bit to cover. So anyone that jumps on a little bit later, then that is all good. So today's conversation is around tension, and it's not bad. Tension isn't bad. It's actually creative. So it's about learning to hang in the tension. And if you can learn to hang in the tension, with the tension, and love the tension, be okay with the tension, and you do that, then the gates of heaven will open for you. The gates of heaven will open for you. And I think it's a great subject to go through. Would you agree? Give me a little bit of energy in the chat box. Do you think it's a great subject to be chatting about? I think it is. Hell yeah. Hell yes. Hell yes. I'm just perfect timing. Good. It always appears to be perfect timing. Positive vibes, positive outcomes. Yeah, love it. So when we think about tension, like, we want to talk about the essentials of this work, because that's in fact all that we need. That's in fact all that we need. The essentials, the foundations of this work are all that we need. That's all there is. So it's not complicated, nor is it difficult. And I hear some of you say, it feels blooming complicated and difficult sometimes, but it's actually not. When we really bring it out, we simplify it. The process is very, it is simple. It is simple. So let me share my screen. Let me share my screen just to remind you all, coming back to the basics is so important. It's so important. So when we think about structure, so current reality, as we know, that is where we are right now, our current reality. And then we have a desired reality. This is what creates a structure, doesn't it? This is what creates tension. Because when we create a desired reality, our true choices, our outcomes, whatever it is, that is the two ends of creation. Current reality, desired reality. And then we have two ways of being in that. We're either in our creative orientation, and in that structure we have creative tension, or or we're in our psychological tension, meaning that when we're in this structure, we're trying to fix, we're trying to solve, we are trying to resolve the tension that is created relative to our wounds. One structure or the other. And you see, what happens is we tend to have this, I'm feeling the tension, I want to resolve it. And yet when we can hold on to this tension and hold our focus in our desired reality, this is where the magic happens. This is where the magic happens. When we can, and I always think of it this way, right? Oops. How do I go back? There we go. I always think of it this way, is when we're in a psychological tension, and very much, kind of like we were talking about last week about being separate from our desired reality, because we're kind of hanging down, in our lower way of being, right? And so when we're in our lower way of being, we actually feel separate from our desired reality. When we can rise above and be in a higher way of being, we're kind of like at the same, we're playing at the same level. We're playing at the same level. And so when you can actually let go of your egoic beliefs and you're in the creative structure, you can create with ease, because you're not trying to resolve tension in favor of, your wounds. So when we just put it down, we let it go, we rise above and choose what it is that you want to create, just because, for no other reason than simply that. Because what do we know about this is our success. And when I talk about our success, it's like our success, creating our desired reality. It's not personal. It's simply the structure that you're in. So you're either in one structure or another. You're in a structure and you're that you're allowing yourself to hang in your creative tension. And then we know that if we're doing that, then it will resolve in favor of the outcome that we desire. Or we're trying to resolve all the ways that we feel incomplete about ourselves. And, and this is exactly what it looks like, right? When we take action from our unconscious egoic belief, you see that rubber band, that it's pulling. And the more action you take towards your desired reality, when you're holding on to your egoic belief, your action is to resolve the tension. So you're holding on to your unconscious egoic agenda, taking action, you create a tension and that wants to resolve itself. So you take the action and it pulls you back, and then the tension is resolved, leaving you creating this loop that never really fully allows you to get to your desired reality. Because you resolve the tension and then you go back to the unwanted experience. Right? And it looks like this. It looks like this. You have one unwanted experience. You're going for this desired reality. You're resolving the tension relative to your, unconscious egoic beliefs, your psychological tension, and it just brings you back into your current reality. So really important for us to not drop the foundations of this work that we know. So there's a big difference between problem solving, being in that orientation and resolving that tension. And it can show up in so many ways, right? Procrastination, not taking the essential action, changing your choices, convincing yourself you didn't want them anyway. So I hope that that was good to get that visual back. Hey, see the understanding is simple. The process is simple. It's the applying it, isn't it? And sticking to that, to the essentials. That's where it can become difficult. Would you agree? That's where it can become difficult. But if you do apply yourself and you stick to really holding that focus on your end result, taking the obvious action, this is where the magic happens. When we don't resolve that tension, trying to resolve in favor of how we feel insignificant, not worthy, don't deserve it, not capable, not enough, not perfect, all those things. This is where creation will take you to your highest level of potential. You see, mastery is not in all the amazing knowledge and learning the missing pieces of the puzzle. Mastery is not about learning more and more and more and more. If you want to be the greatest creator and create magic and really truly create what is in your land of plenty, truly create your true choices, you simply stick to the creative structure. You stick to allowing yourself to be in that tension. Here's my current reality, here's my desired reality. I'm gonna have tension. Tension is good. Tension is okay. Tension means a lot of great things. And when I hold focus, when I stay in my raised vibration and I hold focus on my end result, taking the essential action, hanging in that, not knowing, knowing that your circumstance might be nowhere near where you want it to be. It will come together. It will come together. I promise you it will come together. It may not be in the time frame that you desire. It may not show up exactly how you think it's going to be. There might be some, ramifications because of it. You see, we tend to choose it. We want it, but we want it the way that we want it. And most of you, most of you know very well my story about me really learning at a real deep level how to hang in the tension, leaving conscious education. You would say this is pretty obvious tension to be created and hang in, right? Leaving the nest, saying goodbye to safety, certainty, and opening up to ego having the biggest party ever. Honestly, I mean, that tension right there, and I was not oblivious to the fact that tension was going to be tight. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. You see, when I made the choice to spread my wings and fly solo, I had nothing to fall back on. I didn't wait for the perfect conditions. I had nothing to fall back on. I jumped, knowing it was going to create tension. Knowing I would then need to learn to fly, that I would really have to trust this work and the process. I knew that it was time to make the shift, and I didn't wait for the conditions to be right or the circumstances, because they weren't right. They weren't right. And it's so easy to do, isn't it? That you get the nudge or anything, and you're like, I can't right now because of blah 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 blah. This is happening here. This is happening here. It's not, I don't have this. Have you all felt that? Have you all had that story playing in your mind? And that's what kept me in the safety net for at least 12 months beforehand, to be honest. Probably 18 months, if I'm super, super honest, right? But just before I'd had my call with Chris in December and told him of my choice, that I was going to step out and do my own thing, I'd sunk $20,000 in a marketing company, and it all went wrong. I told them that my expectations and what that money needed to do, and there was all these false promises of what the investment would return, and how they would help me, and I might as well just throw that money out the window. So I was left with no savings or a cushion to fall back on, because the rest of our money was, it was all tied up in other things. I had no cash flow when I left Conscious Education. And you can imagine, right? All sorts of unexpected bills, big bills, started popping up. Water leaks and water pumps and new tires, thousands of dollars, and Williams coaching, high mortgage, because, we had built relative to how I thought I was going to be staying in Conscious Education. Paying for Bali for the accommodation, which was like 10 grand, and that was just half of the full payment. So you can imagine that the tension. I can even feel it as I'm saying it to you. There was a lot of tension. My unconscious was like, oh, here's some tension. We've created this desired reality. Now let's see if we can add, some more psychological tension to that as well. So why does the psychological tension come up? Because it's based on the past. It's based on how it thinks it knows how it's going to be. It's based on trying to avoid pain. So I had everything coming up in there, and I tell you what, I wanted to resolve it, and I actually did. At some points. You can imagine, not only with all of that, the tension that it created on my relationship. Like, my husband was freaking out. He's not in this work like we are. He was freaking out, and I was doing my best not to freak out as well. you know I was doing my best not to freak out as well. But what was I doing in this time? I was staying in my end result. I was hanging in the tension. I was putting my trust in, even though my circumstances felt like everything was going wrong. I knew that it was all going to work out. I remember talking to Benny and telling him about the marketing saga, and he was like amazed at how I just let go of it and focus on the outcome I desired instead of getting all like caught up in that. But there was just no point, because it didn't serve me in the outcome that I wanted to create. It was a lesson to be learned. And there certainly were some small pockets that I had my freak the fuck out moments, and the moments that I was in my psychological tension trying to fix my circumstance. Oh my God, what have I done? I've got to fix this. So when I was doing things in my mind to support my business, I was fixing. So when I let that go, trying to resolve that psychological tension, and I just held that tension and just let it be, acknowledging where I was, but just focusing on my end result. What is my end result? My end result is to help people to live an elevated life. Let me just rise above to my higher way of being and just be in that outcome with no expectations. Because what did I do? I wanted it to happen quick. Oh my God, it's got to happen now because I've got no money. But I let that go. I let it go. I had to let it go. I had to be so mindful that, to be in alignment with with the work. I had to trust me, trust this work, all, be in the trust. I had to be willing to take the essential action. I had to keep my focus in the outcome, rising above, being in my genius, being it, and allowing it to unfold without this pressure of it needs to happen now. And as you know, January I made like $2,000. Got paid like a tiny little amount from Conscious Education for some, coaching payment plans. My visa was maxed out. And yet, February was a very different story. I created abundance because I didn't let go of the tension. I don't go and get another job or go back to Chris and say, because I opened doors, I could have gone back and said, actually, have you've got a little bit of work for me because I need it, right? So we all have our own tension. I know that that is one example. It's a big example, but it's one example. But we do it in smaller ways as well. So how anything is created ever in your life, in my life, is tension-seeking resolution, nothing else. Nothing else. It's tension-seeking resolution. You think about the people that don't create what they might call goals, we call them choices. Well, that just about flicked off. They don't even create any tension. So how can they create this magic? There's no tension for it to be resolved in favor of what it is that they want. So everything good, bad, happy, sad is created by tension. And the outcome is where the tension resolves itself. It's the tension-seeking resolution dynamic. This is 100% the way of life. You see, we kind of get caught up in this, we want to be in the end result, way of life. But what we're actually in is the tension-seeking resolution way of life. True. You see, we want to be in the end result without the tension. And you have to admit it. You've got to admit it. You're wanting it to magically appear with ease and flow and no tension. Have you seen that before in yourself? And I've seen it in myself and I've seen it in others. The tension gets too much and it's like, then you change direction. That feels good. Yeah, there's more ease. That was right. That was the right thing to do. It's like, no, you just let go of the tension. Wanting it without the resistance. Or unchallenged, existence. And when you try all the ways to reduce or get rid of the resistance in order to then take the action. Let me get rid of all this resistance first and then I can take the action. No, just take the action. You simply want to be in the outcome. You simply want to do that video for the first time and for it to be perfect, or to do that workshop for the first time and for it to be perfect. I just want the outcome. True? You think about it. Are you exactly where you want to be in life? And if the answer is no, if you know that you're not as far ahead in some of the things as you perhaps could be, why is that? You want the end result without the tension. You're avoiding the tension. Resolving it in different ways, and where it happens unconsciously. But I think we also consciously know, the things that you're avoiding. You know how you want to share your heart to the world and why you're not. You want to be in the end result without the tension, to just have the flow and the harmony and have it manifest. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that? But we know that that's not how it works. It's not how it works. The essence of the creative process is tension-seeking resolution. So tension is a good thing. We must have tension. We know that everything gets created by the result of tension-seeking resolution. So we set up tension in a way that resolves in favor of what it is that we desire. Because we know energy flows to the path of least resistance. So we can set up tension in a way where we can have the path of least resistance leading to our end result of living the life that we love. Is this good stuff? Is this landing for you? Let me know. Let me know in the chat box. Let me know in the chat box. I see a few yeses from how it's resonated before, so that's good. That is good. Really good, thank you. Reminds me of what I'm not doing. Nice. Nice. And what we're not doing is resolving tension, isn't it? Like whatever the thing is that we're not doing, that is somehow resolving tension. And if we're resolving tension, we're not 100% in our end result. Yeah, why do it today when you can put it off until tomorrow? It's such an interesting thing, hey? It's such an interesting story that we tell ourselves. How do you hang in the tension without resolving? How do you set up the POLR? You're going to have to remind me what that is. I'm sure it's something super simple. Oh, path of least resistance, thanks. Well, you see, when we rise up, and be in our higher way of being, that's number one. When we let go of being in our egoic agenda, and we're in our higher self, then when we're in an orientation that serves us, we're in an identity of being it now, we're in a higher way of being, then there is no resistance. Like we've got to not try and resolve it. Like let the creation happen, taking the essential action. Doesn't mean to say that there is no resistance, but it's a path of least resistance. When you're down here in your lower way of being, that is not, you're going to take the path of least resistance relative to getting back to your lower way of being. 100%. It's our structure. It's the structure that we're in. So we set up tension in a way that resolves itself in favor of what it is that we desire. Yeah? So what we want to do is set up the tension to resolve itself to what we love. We create tension-seeking resolution by setting up our desired reality. This is what we love. Right? This is what I love. And then we have a current reality. Desired reality, current reality. It creates, it creates discrepancy. There's a space. There's a strong variation from one to the other. And the unconscious is not comfortable to hang out in this discrepancy, in this space. It's like it wants to resolve it. It's like, well, there's a space here, and it wants to know how it is. It wants to know how you're going to get from there to there. We know in creation, we don't have a focus in the how, but our unconscious wants to know the how. Here's what we love and where we are now relative to that. And our unconscious thinks that they're separate. The clearer we are about where we are and what we want, where we want to be, the clearer the discrepancy, the clearer the tension, and the stronger the unconscious wants to resolve it. True? And as long as we hold the creative structure and have it weighed in the favor of the vision, the end result, desired reality, however you want to say it, it has to resolve in favor of your desired reality. And this is where, when people say, oh no, I got busy, I haven't been doing my choices, it's like, why wouldn't you? We want to weigh in, when we're holding our creative structure and weighing in favor of that vision, meaning it's not just about us visualizing it, but we're weighing in on it. It means I know exactly, like I'm choosing this coaching business. I'm choosing it to be, whatever level. I'm choosing it. And when I'm choosing that and I look at what it looks like and how it feels, and then what's my obvious action step, then I'm just taking that obvious action step. I'm doing the things. So I'm weighing in on, everything that's in favor of the vision. In our will and our focus. And guess what? That's what it's going to create. But what happens is we get our desired reality and then we're like, I need to know how this is going to be. And then I'm focusing on my current circumstances and what I don't have. And so the focus isn't here, it's here. Well, the focus is in this mid bit. The focus is on your 6 unwanted beliefs. You see, when you focus on your vision, it's not uncomfortable, is it? It only gets uncomfortable when you try and figure out how to create it. It only gets uncomfortable when your psychological tension comes up. Creative tension is not uncomfortable. Psychological tension is uncomfortable. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, what does that tell you? What part of you is your greatness and your genius? Is that going to bring up uncomfort? No. It's not, is it? It's not going to bring up uncomfort. Anytime you go to create, you're going to have psychological tension. It's to be expected. I mean, we don't welcome it, but we don't try and push it away either. Like we can just notice, okay, I see you're coming up. Oh, that's interesting. That's what I tell myself, and most of you know that. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting that I thought that. That's interesting that I'm leaning to show up in this particular way. Because the ego is a vehicle of orientation, right? Where you are, where you're going, it's your navigation. So of course, anytime you want anything, you have an agenda, a focus, an intention. You're going for something. You're going to awaken your ego, true? And it awakens because it's the wheelhouse. It wants to help. It's doing its job. It activates and asks, how are we going to get this? How are we going to get this? It assesses your position, where you are, and what's your past, from your past, what's the likelihood of you getting it, of you creating it? It goes to the past to check, in view of all of this. So, how we are, and how we are in relation to this. It's like, well, coming from past experience, how am I going to create this? Oh, this is the way I usually show up. This is what usually happens. So, So it comes with this limited ideas, and how separate you are from your end result, and how limited your options are, and how unsafe it is. Remembering your ego is concerned for your survival. It doesn't actually want you to get hurt. It doesn't want you to get hurt. It wants to get your attention. It wants you to be aware of the situation, and it brings up uncomfortable feelings. Now, what do we do with those uncomfortable feelings? We need to remind ourselves, what structure am I going to, put myself in? Ego always grabs your attention, which makes you self-involved. Always create tension and want to resolve our identity, just like, the diagram that we looked at before. And this is where we don't like the tension, and we want it to go away. And then what happens when we want it to go away? We resolve it. Now you think about it for yourself, whether it's being a coach, making big decisions, having your big, beautiful choices. You choose it, and then what happens? It's like, oh yeah, I want to do this thing. I want to create this workshop, or I want to help people with this, or so you choose it, and then what happens? You might get super excited about it. It feels really good. You're like, yeah, I feel like I'm on fire. I'm, so tuned into my greatness, and feeling like you're all in. And then all of a sudden the ego pops up, and it's like, okay, well, this is what you're saying you want, but we don't know how it is in here. So it tries to fill the void between the discrepancy of the current reality and desired reality, and all the ways that you feel incomplete about yourself and limited, and all that comes to the surface. And then when it comes to the surface, we have choice of whether we give it the power or not. So as soon as we try to resolve our tension, we're gone. Like we're disconnected from our vision. As soon as we try to resolve our tension, we are gone. We are disconnected from our vision. We are not creating. We're not in the creative orientation. And it will cost you. This is the thing that I want everyone to really take into consideration. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you dearly. And many times it's going to cost you the end result. It's going to cost you your vision, the outcome that you desire. There's never, ever, ever a time when you are resolving your tension that it is not going to cost you. Never. So when we think about our visions and our choices, I know that they're true for you. I know that mine are true for me. A lot of you on this call now, I've done your land of plenty with you. We know that it's true, and it sits in your heart, right? But if you are resolving tension relative to your ego, it's costing you. It's costing you this life that is there for you. It's costing you. I don't know, Wayne. I don't know. Oh, sorry, Verena. I've only just seen you. Having trouble asking for the next step. I question my guidance, and then when I'm blank, I feel overwhelmed. Am I getting the right action? Is it by doing the wisdom process? Is that how you're doing it? Yeah.
Yeah, there was like just even doing lenses at the beginning of the week, like going in, okay, what's my next step for that choice? And then I just sometimes, not all the time, get like in that maybe that is trying to resolve the tension. I question everything. I question the action. Is that the right one? Should it be bigger than that? Should it be, is there too many? And then, you know, then you're not doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a pattern that we can, and I can identify with that. I've certainly seen myself do that as well. Like the questioning, and then I think, well, actually taking any action is better than nothing. And then when you just allow yourself, um what I do is just ensure that I put myself in my genius circle first before I do any of it, so that
Mm.
I'm coming from my higher way of being. Um, but yeah, it's a form of self-sabotage. It's the ego coming in. Am I capable? Am I good enough? Like all of those things.
Yeah, you
So
start oh, maybe I need to change my choices.
no, you don't need to change your choices. I love that we were talking about that earlier.
I know. There was like, oh, I've had that thought this week.
Yeah, good. I'm pleased you're on this call there. No, no changing your choices. No changing your
Maybe
choices.
I've got too many choices. You need to have less choices.
No, you don't. You don't. No. No, love it. Love it. So, for years we've been rewarded for resolving tension. It's actually ingrained in us. It's a conditioning. Rewarded as a baby for stopping crying. As a young child, we're rewarded for resolving tension, like, in the classroom with our parents. And now as adults, you know, and the universe isn't our parents. Resolving tension is pointless and dysfunctional. So anytime we try to resolve our tension, nothing beneficial will come from it. Nothing beneficial will come from it. So why resolve tension if we know it's no good? Because under the surface, it helps us. Like when we were kids, it rewarded us for resolving it. And we think that we're going to get rewarded for it. Right? The actual reward comes when we hang in the tension. Creating tension, hang in the tension, hold the tension, direct it, hold your own power. We have the choice. We have the choice of what structure we're in. Creative or psychological? See, our awareness is the fuel of creating. Like asking yourself, like, what is the truth? Looking at the truth of what structure you're in. What are you actually trying to resolve? Your job as a creator is to establish the truth and follow it. Who am I being right now? Like, am I really showing up in my greatness, in my genius? Am I really playing the big game, or am I still trying to play it safe? Am I too worried about what people think? Am I too worried about this not being perfect? So, like, consider this. It could be so easy to keep learning more and more, even in this work, and then forget about forget about it all on the foundational level. But it's all about being in the creative structure, hanging in the tension, maintaining the tension, using the tension. Using the tension, directing the tension, directing where your focus is, directing how you're showing up, directing who you're being, allowing the tension to resolve in favor of what it is that we want. We easily can bypass this, right? And really, I've seen it so many times. People actually resolving tension by focusing on learning more instead of just creating, hanging in the tension, taking the obvious action. Because it's like, well, it's not happening now. I can't see it. It's not working fast enough. Maybe it's not working. But if you know that you are, you're coming from your higher way of being and you're holding that focus super strong and taking that essential action, it's going to happen. It's just that you want to know when and how and all of that bullshit. And it is just bullshit because you don't need to know when and how. You just got to trust it. So we do all the work. We have so many tools and learning. We set up tension, but do we hang in it? It's like, oh yeah, I've got my choices. I'm visualizing them every day. But do we hang in the tension? Do we take the essential action? And even when it feels like our current circumstances aren't going the way that we want, do we hang in the tension, or do we set our sail for a different direction? Meaning resolving our psychological tension. See, after today, I really believe that nobody, if you're here live or if you're watching the replay, you have absolutely no excuse to not hang with the tension. See, tension is not bad. It isn't bad. It's creative. We have to have tension in order to create. But don't mistake the tension of being in your psychological tension. It's where you're focusing on, who you're being, what you're trying to fix or resolve. So we can still be trying to fix and resolve and convince ourselves that we're heading towards our desired reality, just like I was January last year. Tension is powerful. When you are in your power and you be in your end result and you hold that, then you get what it is that you want. Might not be in the time frame that you want, but you will get what you want. Pulling the golden thread, following those nudges, one breadcrumb at a time. So I would love for you all to, you're welcome. I'd love for you all to think of the recent crappy experience that you've had. Think of the most recent crappy experience that you've had. Maybe it's something you experienced on your own. Maybe it was with someone, I don't know, but just think of the most recent crappy experience. And I want you to connect into the energy of it, like how difficult it felt. Feeling the tension, feeling the pain, feeling the emotion. Just feel the emotion of it. Define the emotion of it as pain and feel the pain. And define it as tension. Feel the tension of it. Feel it in your body. Notice how you want to resolve it. So, oh, this doesn't feel good. I want to resolve it. Now we're going to do some circle work. You can come back. I just kind of wanted to tune you into that. So we're going to do a little bit of circle work. And the first circle is tension is bad. So because we've defined this circle as tension is bad, so you can do it in your mind or draw it on a piece of paper and put your circle in and write, tension is bad. And let's go ahead and close our eyes. Just set the intention to really extract the essence, the information that is, the energy, everything that is there in this circle. And I want you to be in this circle. The tension is bad, and just notice as you relate to the tension, experiencing just noticing what you're experiencing. Notice what comes up for you. And just relate it to the experience that you tuned into before, that crappy experience. Just relate to the tension and the experience that you're going through or went through, and just notice what comes up for you. What you feel compelled to do when tension is bad. Now come back. Now we're going to do the second circle, and this is your tension is creative. So draw your circle, put in there, tension is creative. And this is just for you to get really extracting, like really airing out the difference of when you're treating tension as bad or when it's creative. So I invite you to immerse yourself in this circle, the creative, tension is creative, and just notice So we define the circle as a high vibration. It's not just the opposite of like being, good, tension is good. It's like, no, it's creative. It's a higher vibration. Being in this higher vibration, what does that feel like? Tension is creative. Feel it in your body. And come back and let me know in the chat box. What did it feel like being in the different circles? What did it feel like for you? Did you notice the difference between being in your tension is bad circle to your tension is creative? What did it feel like? Creates options. See, they're completely different energies, aren't they? And when you think about, like, when you see the difference of the energy of each of these, think about how powerful it really is. Like, it's so powerful because you're putting that energy out into the field and also into the end result. It's not just about a feel-good factor. When you change your vibration, you rise up, you change your vibration, everything around you has the opportunity to change too. And maybe you might have noticed in those circles, but I'm sure that you'll know this anyway, that when you're in your psychological tension, you're in your head. When you're in your creative tension, you are in your heart. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Am I somewhat right or absolutely right? So we want to master, creating, and we think there are so many compartments that we need to master, but there aren't. Are there? There are not so many compartments that we need to master. It's important for you to master and focus on the essential, like to focus on the tension, just that. Not focusing on the psychological tension. This is what we should all be doing first and foremost. I see it time and time again, people, wanting something new and juicy and exciting, and they change up their choices all the time, change their direction, wanting to join more things to learn more and more and more and more, and they fall into questioning, like Verena was saying before, like questioning their choices, or maybe questioning their true nature and purpose. And they change their focus, trying to master everything, wondering why the creations are just not coming into fruition. Forgetting to actually master the essential. Continuing to master resolving psychological tension instead. And this is like, it's just such an illusion. And we elude ourselves that it makes things easier or better somehow. But it doesn't. We've just changed our direction, and we're actually saying no to what it is that we truly want. If If I just do something towards my end result, it will make me feel better. But it won't. It won't. Maybe for the short term, it does, but it's not powerful and it doesn't get you your end result. It costs you. It costs you. It won't feel better in the long run. It might feel better for now, but it won't feel better in the long run when you're not creating your vision. I always look up there, don't I? Like that's where the vision sits. Desired reality, like that's where it's always there. You must be holding the tension and taking the obvious action. Do the work. Don't just talk about it. Don't just talk about it. Keep, just being in it. This is what changed my life. Honestly. I mean, I know a lot. For Chris's work, William's work, other stuff, I know a lot, but it doesn't matter all the things that I know if I don't stick to the foundations. None of that shit matters. Doesn't matter what we know and what we understand. It's about being in the work. When I chose to really be in this work, not as in just my presence, but actually live this work, that's where everything changed massively. Most of you been on the journey right from day dot. I know many coaches that in their heart of hearts want to share this work with the world and make huge impact, to be of service to others, to help others to live a better life. But the huge inner conflict, they're in huge inner conflict because they won't go on social media and share their knowledge and wisdom. Why is that? Psychological tension. And they keep on learning more and joining more masterclasses and webinars, and they're taking action, but it's resolving their tension, taking the path of least resistance in favor of how they feel incomplete about themselves, allowing the tension to resolve in favor of their ego, and then feeling overwhelmed all over the place, beating themselves up, terrible self-talk, convincing themselves that they're just not cut out for this. It's just, other people can have it. It's hard for me, so on and so forth. And I want you to keep in mind, your ego might win, but your heart will be dissatisfied. Your ego might win, but your heart will be dissatisfied. You know in your heart what it is that you want to create. But the moment that you allow yourself to be separate from it, the moment that you want to figure it all out, the moment that you resolve the tension relative to feeling incomplete, whether you consciously can see it or not, see, our circumstances can be shit. They can be rubbish. They can be bad. The situation is unwanted. Right? Example, for me, last year, that circumstance was pretty rubbish. A lot rubbish. I didn't want it. I didn't want it. But the tension was good. Why was there tension? Because I was choosing to create my own thing. I had a desired reality. The tension was there and it was good. I needed it in order to create. And when I got to the point of really rising up and hanging in that tension and not trying to resolve it, not trying to fix my circumstances, focusing solely on the outcome that I desire, that's where everything changed. So how anything is created ever, anything is created ever in your life and my life is tension seeking resolution, nothing else. We want it to be resolving in favor of what it is that we desire. It means we've got to be willing to show up for ourselves and willing to show up for our choices and take action, even if we're shit at taking the action, even if we have to get better at being on camera or whatever. You know, if I went by the first time that I jumped on my first magnetic mind masterclass for Chris, oh my God, it was so bad, like so bad. And I could have resolved the tension and been like, right, nah, I'm rubbish, I'm out. And I wouldn't be here right now. Right? Same for all of you. So let's ensure that we have the tension resolving in favor of our vision, staying in your higher vibration. So I would love, I know we've gone a little bit over time, but I would love for anyone, if you would love to either pop in the comments what's really landed for you, what stood out for you, what your takeaways are, or I can bring you, I can spotlight you if you want to verbally share. What landed for you? And you know what else? And you can, you can share it here, but this is for you to consider. How are you going to use what it is that we've talked about today? How are you going to use this stepping forward? Because it's all very well to have this knowledge and then just go back into ways of being that don't serve us, right? How are you going to bring this knowledge into changing things up in your life? Beautiful. Thanks so much for the reminder. It's good to hang in the tension. 100% know I'm on the right path. Beautiful. Needed this. You are so welcome, Ange. Just need to go ahead and do it, start, and learn along the way. Yep, absolutely. Not allow myself trying to resolve the tension and question my vision. Yeah, don't. Our vision is our truth. You know, it's just that because we've never created it before, we're trying to figure it out. And we're trying to do it with the least tension as possible. How can I do it without being judged? How can I do it and, be seen but be safe? How can I do it without failing? How can I do it without fucking it up? Right? Yes. I mean, the tension, we have to have tension to create. It can't not. Because if we don't have tension, then we're in the same, we're not creating anything outside of what it is that we've already created. We've got to have it. And the bigger the vision, the bigger the desired reality, the more tension we have. True. Holy heck. I mean, how many times have you made a decision? You're like, yeah, I'm definitely doing this thing. And you're like, whew. I was like that when I started coaching with William. And I know some of you that I'm coaching one-on-one felt the same. I was like, oh, I've made this big decision now. I'm feeling the tension. But it's good. It's good. All right, beautiful souls. I could keep on going with this, but I won't. I feel like we've got enough that leaves you all to have something to consider, to let it land. Love you all so much. Let's really allow ourselves to hang in the tension. But hanging in the tension means that we're focusing on our end result and we're taking the essential action, yeah? This is where our focus is, not on our circumstance, not on how we can't and why we're trying to figure it out. It's like, here's where I'm focusing. I know there's tension, I can feel it, and my focus is here. My desired reality. All right, beautiful souls. Love you all. And I will see some of you soon on Chats and Connection. Talk soon.